Good evening, good morning, good day, good night. Welcome to wherever you are on the world, in the world. This is Bongversation episode number 43 with Dave J on the 7th of September. So 43 adds up to 7 and we're on the 7th of
It
September.
was the
How could that
7th
be?
of September.
It's amazing. It just happens that way. Dave, how are you on this wonderful
Oh,
Sunday?
doing well, doing well.
Awesome.
This is the 43, the 43rd Bongversation, and it's obviously the chicken McNugget of podcasts. As you might
Chicken
as you
McNugget.
might know, yeah, as you might know, the chicken McNugget issue is that it's the largest number that you cannot is not obtainable in ordering chicken nuggets. So,
Oh, really?
and
Well, there you
yeah,
go.
43, yeah.
43.
So it's called the chicken McNugget problem, or sometimes called the coin problem. And what I was thinking about the 43 was first to take it just as the number. You have the four and the three, the dalet and the ring. So then you have the door ring or the door bell, right? The door rings, knock knock knock, and then four plus three is seven. So what mind? Uh, what idea? What 3G7 are you going to allow them to lead you down the path? So there's and what I want to tell you, and it's all laid out in script. Just so you know, all of this is laid out in script as far as who these different lights are. It's going to be one or the other. It's like the idea of twin towers. So it's one or the other. So let's look at the the 43 then. Now, have you ever heard of there's in TV the 43 in let's say the fallen angel. You remember we've talked about the spirits of Solomon and the lesser key. Uh,
Yes.
it's going to deal with Sabnoch. Now Sabnoch, think the first part is Sab or Sabbath, and then knock is like the idea on the top of a bow and arrow. You know where the notch where you put the string.
Yeah.
That's it. So it's going to be the place, or and it's also as a verb used as meaning a readied bow. All right. So then that's a ready or and the idea of just like with Cupid, the idea of a shot arrow is the idea of implanting love, right? So then
Yeah.
you have implanted
How do
love.
you spell
Boom.
knock? How do you spell knock? N-O-C?
Nock.
N-O-C-K, cool.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So yeah. So then he winds up being the and this is also just so you know this he shows up as the 43rd so-called spirit. Now, what's interesting about the 43rd is he's also referred to as the pale horse. Now, you'll know the pale horse from Revelation 6:8, all right, which is
Yeah.
your idea of 14:5 or senses, the idea of the double seven. So then that double seven or that false door built. Now, then,
Yeah.
if you remember, and I looked and behold a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was death, and hell follow him, and the power is given unto him over a fourth part of the earth. Now, the idea of the fourth, do you see? Fourth part of the earth. So then, if that means a four, there's then three others left over. Do
Yeah.
you see how that works in? So then that's the 43. So you know you're dealing with that character. All
Death.
right. So then, yes, you're dealing with the idea of Satan or death because to sin, the wages of sin is death. That's in the scripture. It's just a simple spiritual idea, meaning that if you commit the idea of sin or lie, then that is in fact spiritual death. That is the idea of feeding the beast.
Yeah.
Now also 43 is interesting in that going back
So,
to in our first conversation we were in one of the first ones we were talking we had several that we talked about Disneyland and
yes.
it's on a very it's on a very small plot of land in comparative uh, but then if you the Disney World, which is the bigger one in Florida, it's on 43 square miles, area,
Really?
which is 27,000 acres. That's your 27 again. So
Gotcha.
so you see how numbers always, it's always going to work out that way, and also not only the numbers wise, but then what mindset is placed on that number. Like in this case, the Disney mindset, and just like with Disney, now you can look at what Disney's done since then. They've taken over certain franchises, especially
Oh
let's
yeah.
say the Star Wars franchise, things like
Marvel,
that.
Marvel,
Yeah.
Marvel franchise.
Speaking of
Yeah.
Marvel, the Glock 43 in Marvel, the Glock 43 is the most used in Marvel comics, by the way. Just speaking of Marvel or Marvel movies, they like to use the Glock 43. So
Mm.
then, yeah, so then,
The
uh,
handgun.
yeah, Glock
Well,
43
all right.
handgun. In Marvel movies, they're prop people, whoever they hire for props, like the Glock 43. So then,
Yeah. Interesting.
yeah, now, also, you'll notice before we get into some other stuff, Star Trek, the 2009 J.J. Abrams joint, where Ahura is, her name's not Ahura, is it? It's Aurora. You want to say Aurora, but I think it's Ahura.
It's Uhura. It's
Oh,
Uhura.
Ahura.
Uhuara.
I was
Uhura.
going, I was going heavy on the H. All right, so so her secure access channel is 43. Just so you know, in that movie.
Wow. You do
And
notice
yeah,
these things, don't you? You do
yeah,
notice
yeah.
these things.
Just 43 because because you're looking at what these powers are, and they can't hide themselves. They have to recognize. So let's say Beowulf, the so-called oldest English poem, is 43 verses. Now
Interesting.
then, yeah. So then you can see that this. Oh, and also, let's keep going with how 43 kind of works in the script. Now, the 43rd book of the King James version, which is the script of this place, whether people like it or not, that's just what. If you see the news and the powers that be, that is the script they use. All right. So then the 43rd book is the Gospel of John. Now, if you look at the Gospel of John, that is completely different than all the others. It's quite a spiritual, and it starts out with Jesus Christ being called the Word, meaning
Yep.
now that you know then who is the Word and what is the Word, and now that you're dealing that creation is spoken to or spoken into existence by the Word, that brings you back to Genesis 1,
Yes.
before the Yahweh character. All
Who
right?
you've you,
What's
you've
interesting,
you've
yeah.
emphasized that the Yahweh character is not the good guy; he's the bad guy.
Yeah, the Yahweh character is the one who speaks with Moses from the bush, the burning bush, who claims to be the I am. All right,
Yeah.
and then you have, so then what do you have? What can you set against one but a new mindset? Because one is an idea put into motion. So then what do you then put up against it to to stop it, or to buttress, or to become the bookend to it, the choice? Well, you put a 7. So that's why then and kind of the 8 connection, because it's quite interesting how this works in 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 the Gospel of John. There are 7 I am statements. Your 7, remember I said you have to have a 7. Well, there's 7 I am statements.
Yeah.
I am the bread of life. I am the light of the world. I am the door, the good shepherd, the resurrection and the life. I am the way, truth, and life. And then finally, I am the true vine. Now, where I am goes to the end, it deals with the idea of, well, when you go back to Genesis, or I'm sorry, to speaking with Moses, the burning bush, the character who's speaking the I am there is the Yahweh character.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where that choice is being shown, and that's where the 43, the choice, the 7, the door ring, that's that you're going to then react to that
Yeah.
idea. That's where that choice is being shown to you plainly in Scripture, and I showed you that in Revelation with dealing with the pale horse and the power of the 43 XYZ. The name uh, Sabnak, which is just really the idea of where one's Sabbath is, where one's mind is. And
Mm.
we talked about Beowulf too, and that's really this so-called oldest English, poem, 43 verses, and it gives this idea of what is to be shown throughout, today as being history. This idea of this is what the characters back then did. This is how they acted. So it kind of gave you this genesis. Well, this is base all your later characters on this character. All right, so it was like a template character. Because if you look at Beowulf, which is spelled Beowulf, if you look at just look at 6 letters in there, you see 2 words right off the bat. You see be foul, and you also see woeful. And that's because these characters are going to be used to put woeful and befouled ideas out into the public mindset. Because remember, 43 equals 7, Seven written out. Do you see how that works?
Does it?
That's interesting as well. Yeah, it sure does.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So then, if you and I was also going to say then, uh, Sabnok is represented by the kind of the head of the lion, right? Uh, so then banks that have that type of symbology, the head of the lion,
Many,
things
many,
like
many,
that.
many, many
Yeah.
banks. Like
Mm-hmm.
ING is one of
Yeah.
them,
Yeah,
amongst
HSBC is also
HSBC.
called
Yeah.
Lions Bank. Amorous, I want to say as well. Amorous.
Oh, that logo is everywhere. Um,
Yeah,
everywhere.
yeah, yeah. Very interesting. Yeah.
Interesting.
So
You're
then the
talking about the Glock 43 though, because Black Widow carries 2 of them and has always got 2 Glock 43s in her hand,
mhm.
which is a double seven. Now that
Yeah,
I know
absolutely.
that, yeah,
Oh, and speaking of 7, I wanted to kind of make sure. I think I spoke too fast. So then, if you take the idea of 43 equaling 7, it does equal 7 SEVEN. That then in turn equals 65, or the idea of 11, which is 2, which is the same as today, or Lumen, like Lumen, the company,
severance,
and
severance.
yeah, and Severance. Yeah, so you see how it's wrapping around the same thing. It's this
Very
idea.
interesting.
Yeah, it's this idea, and in this case, uh, the um, the spirit is that hidden plainly in currency or money or banking, things like that. It's plain to see. Even going back to the chicken McNugget, problem with it. That's also called a coin problem. So then that then brings in the idea of banking. So you can kind of see where these spirits not only manifest but where they hide out. You know, so then when you're dealing with those different aspects of life, the people who deal in those different businesses will reflect these kind of demonic personalities, because they'll have to depending on how high they want to go, they're going to have to kind of subject their morals to something else. When it comes to loans and XYZ, taking money from people, things like that.
Usury.
You know, yeah, usury. So it's like really, it's like how far are you going to go into the system? So then I was now 43 is also the 14th prime. Now a prime is divisible by 1 or itself. Now what's interesting about the 14th prime is that of course is not only your double 7, but it's also your 5 or your senses. So this idea, this door ring, this is the sense that you're now answering to. All right, so you're walking into it. It's going to be your peripheral. And I thought, when I first thought about it, I said peripheral. I said, wait a minute. I said, there's a show or a book actually called Peripheral, written by what's his nuts, William Gibson. Now,
Oh yeah.
before I get to that, I want to kind of jump back to the prime number and why it's important that I I told you that it's the 14th prime. Well, you're dealing with if you're dealing with cryptography, and this is what and this is what we're dealing with right now with all these. We're at the fourth level of the 4D, and when we get to fifth, we're going to be doing it with 5D, six, and it just gets even more and more involved as we go higher. However, you're dealing with the same type of cryptography, or the idea of or having to follow uh, kind of this program being fed to you. If you choose to listen to, whether it be news or even someone in your life repeating back a story they heard, it all works this way. So then you have what's called symmetric cryptography, which is going to be the same key for encryption and decryption. So that means that the two, the input output, you have the same uh, understanding of something. Therefore, the symmetric cryptography is going to be the same key, meaning that that it's going to be just a back and a forth. It's going to be quite an easy flow. Now you have asymmetric cryptography, which is kind of where you have this public-private key pair, which is needed. This is where, and you've heard this before, Rick, this public-private part that's in kind of like even physical, so-called real-world government
Oh
and
yeah.
economies, and
Yeah.
so so then this is the same exact thing, just on a spiritual level or on a thought level. It's the same thing. So when they're putting, when they're using public private partnership, PPP, things like that, it's for a specific, it's because they're talking about a public private pair, which is a key, and that deals with asymmetric cryptography, which is how then they hide kind of their abuses in, I mean, kind of the abuses of the so-called free public, because they
Yeah.
hide it in this lawfare, which is, if you don't know the key, you can easily get lost in, because how far is it already? We're at 43 now. We just now started really talking about it, because it's really the only time you can, because now it's becoming more complicated. So in the peripheral, what the what that deals with is, it deals with, well, there was two. There's a book, and then a TV show came out. But in the first, you have kind of an American woman who who's living like around this time, and then projects or deals with, through kind of a peripheral, like a gaming device, which we talked about last week. Fully immersed in the world that you
Yeah.
that you the gaming world. You're fully in there. It's full tactile response. And guess how many years in the future she goes?
43.
70.
7.
Nope, 70. She goes
70.
70. So that's your 7. So yeah, she goes. Now in the actual book, or I'm sorry, in the TV shows, uh, the the main character is named Flynn Fisher. Fisher, going back to the idea of fisher of men,
Yep.
through the biblical script, meaning that you're going to be putting out ideas and trying to lure men into spending their time with you. That's because that's all a man or a woman can offer, is their time to you. That's it. That's the only
Yep.
thing of value they have. So then this Flynn Fisher, well, I was thinking, Flynn. You remember Flynn from Tron, because remember
Yep.
Flynn, Jeff Bridges played he played Kevin Flynn, which was the man who was done dirty by big corporate, who was kicked out, and was trying to get back into the system, trying to go back into the so-called matrix to retrieve a so-called file, which is just another analogous to the ring, uh, or to the Horcruxes in Harry Potter. You can see how all these different stories all have the same type of framework.
Oh
They're
yeah.
all really
Yeah.
just, yeah. It's just all kind of. So this Flynn character, what happens is the the AI within the, or I guess you can call it the computer program, becomes to the point to where it claims its own existence, right? So
Yeah.
then it tries to it tries to confuse the Flynn character into doing certain actions in this place because of what happened in the so-called future. Now I won't ruin what happens because it's kind of it's not the easiest watch in the world, but it does have some interesting storylines. But what happens, of course, is that you have to decide on what you're being shown in your mind is actually a projection of what's real to come, or if it's just an imagination. And if you believe this false picture given to you of what's going to happen, will it change your real actions today in this place where actions do matter? It's not theoretical. If you put your
No.
left foot forward and your right foot back, so then yeah, so you can see Tron. So you have, to me, I like to just look at all the different names used, and it just gives links back, because with the Flynn character, it really is that she's jumping into the game, and what happens is because her brother, and this is a little bit in the future to where her brother's an ex-military guy, so he has these internal tattoos which links him to these other members of his squad, and one of one of his members of his squad to bring in the 43 is that he's they prop him up in the corner of the different scenes from time to time because he's got one arm. So he's missing three. So of the four, he's missing three. And supposedly, of course, that comes into play when he's in the game world. That, of course, he's full. Do you see?
Yeah.
He in the game world, he's fully functional, but they just prop him. Yeah, he turned out he was a real drag for the first few
This is
episodes.
the William Gibson story,
Uh,
or Tron.
yeah, no, this is the peripheral story.
Peripheral. Yeah.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah, yeah. Now, well, actually, Tron too kind of works the same way. As if you remember, Jeff Bridges got blown to pieces digitally when he got pulled into the system. Remember, he got zapped into all segments.
Yeah. This is the original
Yeah,
Tron we're talking about.
yeah,
Yeah.
the original Tron. Yeah. So, yeah, either way, it's like it's really telling you the same thing. That this dismemberment happens before it gets repurposed in the system as something new, which I find it's just and so the Peripheral TV series was I want to say, when was that? That would have been back. Well, the book came out in 2014, so I would say that the series ran around 2022 or so. So you can find it online somewhere if you're interested. But that only goes for 8 episodes. It's simply details. Remember the
Yeah.
43, the idea. So the details. So it's just giving you details on kind of this future idea of total immersion in 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 almost like the in the box. Remember, just like with the Hellraiser, where you're looking or you're seeking the pleasure box, or to be in the box.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so
I'm
that's what it's
surprised they
dealing
haven't
with.
remade that series again, because everything keeps getting like they've just done well, they did a new Tron a while ago now.
Well, Ares. Well, Ares is coming out here pretty soon. Tron Ares, and that's where, opposite wise, Jared Leto plays a computer program that gets loose or gets loosed out into the real world, so called, and he
Right.
starts, yeah. So it's
If you
kind of it's this
Yeah, if you
where
see him in a
Tron and
movie, keep an eye
Peripheral,
on it.
yeah,
Keep an eye on Jared Leto, I say, because he's always in interesting movies.
yeah, and we talked about him with his band and everything else when we
30
talked
Seconds
about
to Mars.
yeah, when we talked about Laurel Canyon
Yep,
back on that
yep,
episode,
yep,
we
yep,
talked
yep,
about
yep,
all that for sure.
yep.
And but you notice then that Tron Ares is a flip of Tron. It's a bookend, because Tron, he's going in, and Ares, it's
It's
coming
coming
out.
out. Right, gotcha.
Yeah. So So then, and then that's the same, and peripheral is dealing. Oh, and another series which it's more just book, and I wouldn't say that it's been made into any type of. I can't think of a movie where it really kind of it would be this, but it's there's a book by Daniel Suarez named it would have come out in the 2006-7 time frame called Demon, but it's spelled DAEMON.
Like
That's a
the
computer
computer.
demon.
Yeah, the computer
I've
demon.
told
Yeah.
you about that before, yeah.
Yes, you have.
And what happens in this book is the computer starts to send out work orders to different manufacturers, 3D manufacturers, like printers and things like that. That is directly tied in with the peripheral because the same thing happens in that story. Now that I think about it, but uh, what happens is the computer sends the orders for the blueprints to have the parts made, and then pays all the bills online with the banknotes because everything's digital. So the computer is having these different, like armored cars made and all kinds of different stuff made, drones made, you name it. And then it starts to then infect the so-called real world by using these different AI controlled devices to basically take over. So that's the story of that, and it deals with kind of a new currency. It deals with all the usual suspects, just as far as all the different ideas. But then, and the bad guy or kind of the psychopath loner that is one of the main characters is called Loki Stormbringer. Now, of course, Loki is the
Which is
yeah,
straight out of yeah, which is the big
yeah,
horn-headed the liar. He's also a liar, and he's a
yeah,
part of the
yeah,
Marvel franchise, and he's Thor's brother, is he?
yeah.
Um, I think so. One of those things.
Well, yeah, you're the comic book Marvel geek, so
Oh, I
I
am
need
now.
to do. I'll defer to you on all that. I will tell you that we did talk earlier about the Marvel movies using the Glock 43. But did you see Loki Stormbringer? So not only Loki or the kind of the god of mischief type of thing, but Stormbringer, which is a direct reference to bring in the idea of the Nazi or the power, the Stormbringer. That be, just so happens that we talked about 7 = 65, written out.
Yep.
Well, white also equals that because that's so then that kind of gets hidden right there in plain sight as well.
Mm.
Everything's kind of just everything's just if you look at it just slightly because remember if you look at the idea of the Mason um, hierarchy, and this is even throughout doors in front of churches. You're going to have the idea of three doors, the big and
Yep.
then the small ones on each side, or three levels, and then everything else past that three is degrees. Kind of if you put your arm straight out and you go level to the ground, you're making degrees. So then it's three up, and everything past that is in degrees. All right.
Yep.
That's what a seven looks like. That's why a seven. If you put the short end on the kind of the flat, and then you turn the top, it's making almost like a compass needle.
Yep.
So then so then um, I was just because within the 43 you have water, which is the mem or the 40, and then you have what's called a gamal or the G or the three. Gamal is also known as it's also written kind of hieroglyphically as a camel. Now a camel, as you know, is kind of like a beast of burden
Yes.
or one that carries a load. So then your gemel or your camel, 3G7, your mind, is going to be that camel that's carrying that load of water, memory, the memories you're putting in, the 40, 43. The
Yep.
water on top of the camel, the water on the mind, the load that you've chosen to bear, the lumen, the light today, which is also the same. And also the same is Avalon. Now we spoke about Avalon, the island off of California, Catalina.
Yep.
Uh,
It's also
yeah,
heavily part of the King Arthur myth.
yeah, yeah. The King Arthur myth, the whole afterlife, and going to that next place type of dealio.
Mm-mm-mm.
And so yeah, so then uh, what else was I going to tell? Oh, so we talked about that perfect, and then I was telling you about the. I think I told you about the different shows I was kind of thinking about that just jumped in my head. And then I was also thinking there's an interesting bit if you look at kind of the so-called science side of this. Uh, it's 43 is associated with something called technetum, which is or it's called TECHNETIUM, technium,
Technium.
technetium. Yeah, so you can see like there's tech, net, and eum in there. And what I found interesting about that is that it's used in certain type of scans, medical scans, bone scans, heart scans. So it's a type of like a flash source or a light emitter that allows to see through those different tissues. And of course that is like the door knock, which is really the access to, and which is really just looking into. So I found that quite interesting that it's used for all those different uses in so-called in the so-called medical field, and that's directly tied in with that.
It sounds more everything that seems to be number based goes into
Oh
some
yeah,
kind of esoteric, deeper meaning, be it computers or particularly science and uh, anything to do with electronics. You've got all these numbers all balance out and fit the
well yeah,
mold
because
or whatever.
the Chinese and some of their folklore, the 43 represents deliverance or change. So then it's change, and then what? So then what can you change, or what are you delivered from? But a mindset in this case.
Have you looked into the I Ching or I Ching or whatever it's called? The Chinese way of change. It's
The
called the
what?
way of change or something or other. It's the way you plot your life using those patterns. Very complicated. I haven't actually looked
If
into
it's
it myself.
if it's complicated, it's meaningless. Nothing
Well,
should
it's
be
probably
complicated. It's
well,
quite
I
easy.
say complicated until someone explains it to you. That is, like you,
Yeah.
I'm sure if you looked into it, you'd see all
Yeah.
these patterns. And is it the Book of Change? I Ching, the Book of Change. Great big thick book too. Let me tell you.
Yeah, well, if you go through actually the so-called history and so-called accepted history, the London was founded by the so-called Romans in 43.
Really,
Yeah,
Londinium.
A.D. so-called 43. Yeah, Lundium was founded in 43. So then that's the idea of the shtick, the actual like the genetic identity of the so-called creation. So London was created, what they want to tell you in 43, and they'll give you some sort of.
AD
It was
43.
created, yeah, they'll give you some sort of like template. It was created as X, Y, or Z. This type of community, you know.
Yeah.
When as you know that when you go to really cities of any size, there's going to be there's all sides to every side. Even in the smallest little towns, there's all sides of the circle.
Oh
In
yeah,
that town.
that's well the
That
town
yeah,
planners and those town designers. You can go
yeah,
if you travel, you'll notice the same patterns used all the time. You know, you'll have
yeah.
roads that come in on this particular angle, and certain businesses are always set up in these same areas. It seems to be very well planned. It's a town planner that does it, and it would go back to those days,
Oh
I
yeah,
guess. Mm.
yeah. So yeah, so that's I was also looking at uh, the Pope, the 43rd Pope, which was Celestine, Now, what's interesting about that character is if you look at now the 43 and you think, okay, is that a mindset being put in? And it is. Then he
Yeah,
is the one who is said to have been instrumental. The idea of music, which is also the 65 gematria. But then he in the actual rites, the first reading, the second reading, the you know the Eucharist and all this type of stuff. So he was instrumental in then putting all that type of paganism, false worship, in the so-called church. So then you can just see then just by the names and the characters and the
yeah.
numbers they're associated with that their history just shows you by what spirit uh, uh,
It's all,
they're
yeah,
being led.
exactly. So yeah, so
Yeah,
London founded in AD 43.
yeah, yeah,
Celestine, the
yeah,
Pope Celestine,
yeah,
which pops
yeah.
up
So
all the time with the Celestine prophecies, and
yeah.
that was nothing to do with the Pope, but that was a very big New Age book back in the day.
Well, it all has to do with the word, the tone of the word. They'll put a character around a word just to kind of confuse you. But remember, if it sounds like it, you got to look at if you
What?
hear the sound. Yeah,
Yeah,
if you hear the sound, okay, what that I know what that sound means. Now I just need to look at the intent
yeah. It's a very
because they're
fast
gonna.
way of fast tracking an intent
Yeah.
in any given part of any story. You just look at the number,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll fit in with the. Yeah, exactly. I see what you're talking about, as
Yeah.
usual.
So it just saves you it saves you all the time. So you have it's like as soon as you hear it, you're listening to people, and then you just hear them. You can just hear the tone. You just know what you don't have to. You just know who they are instantly.
Yeah.
They're, you don't waste any time. You don't
It,
get stuck up in their
well,
nonsense. Oh, there was a yeah.
spending 5 months studying some random event, and you actually could have just discovered the answer by looking at the number it's
Yeah.
associated with. Yeah.
Yeah, and what words they placed in the story for you to see. Look at all the words and the phrases that they put into single quotation marks.
Yeah.
And everything you need to know is going to be in there. It's all going to be in there. So then, oh, there was another, and this is kind of where these ideas and thoughts are put out. There was a movie called 43, and it was 14 short movies within a movie. So that's your 43-7. The idea of the double seven is the 14 or the 5. You see how they they put the triple seven right in the title,
Yeah.
and the meat, and it deals, and it has a lot of I want to say pretty big names, but it deals with all the different type of uh, let's just say lowbrow living is the best way to
I've
put
heard of it. Yeah,
it.
I've
I would
I've
say
heard of it.
it
It's
does.
going in my memory banks. I do remember who was in it. Can you remember?
Uh, well, you had all kinds of people because it's the 14 different movies. So you had the Pitt,
Oh,
you
yeah, at
had
least 30
Dennis
actors.
Quaid, you had Dennis Quaid.
Right.
You had in one of them you had Hugh Jackman was in one of them. Kate Winslet
Yeah, it was Kate
was
Blanchett in one of them. I've got this
Livy
vision.
Strieber, that guy.
Livy
You had
Strieber, yeah, he's in a lot of stuff.
Chris Pratt, Chris
That's
Pratt.
from Chris Pratt is Captain Kirk from the new version of.
Yeah,
Oh no, he's
yeah.
not. He's from the Guardians of Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah,
Yeah,
Richard Gere was in there.
right.
Kate Bosworth. So you had a bunch of people. But the thing is that the stories were all of no use whatsoever. They're
Was there
they,
any?
they're all
Is
just
there anything? Is there any common link in all these stories, or it's just 43?
uh, yeah. It's just it deals with just man. It deals with all kinds of nasty stuff, dude. I don't even want to tell you. And
Yeah, well, I probably
just
won't watch it.
everything you think about, it's nasty. It's just nasty. And
Interesting.
what's interesting is how many people were put into these different roles, and Uma Thurman, Naomi Watts, all kinds. It's quite
It's a big
uh,
cast. It's a big cast.
yeah, it's a nasty piece of work, is what. And to me, it's almost the um, shaming type of thing. You got to do it. This is
Yeah.
like, oh, you got to do it, man. Because it's a nasty piece of work, but it deals more so for the numbers. It's called Movie 43, and they'll tell you, oh, it's for no reason. But on the cover art, the 43 is right at the top of the legs.
Yeah.
So
Right.
the 43 is offering you that entryway. You
The
see?
entryway,
And
yeah, into the Vesica
I'm
Pisces.
giving
The
I'm like
the
on
the Vesica
yeah, the
Pisces.
Vesica Pisces. Yeah, so I'm trying to give you some clue words without being too graphic.
I can
And
understand what you're talking about.
yeah, so yeah, so then that deals that's really all you need to know. And then the 14 stories is of course the hidden double seven, the idea of the 14 two sevens or the five or the senses. So it's just bringing, because they're putting a ton of these different so-called A and B listers in there in hopes that the name's going to grab a wider net of people. As we talked about being fishers, remember? In the peripheral, the name of the character was
Oh yeah,
Fisher.
yeah, yep. Fisher.
So same with this, where you have all these. Oh, I love James Gunn or whatever. Blah 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 blah. So they have all these different reasons to watch this thing, and when they see it, it's like, what am I even watching here?
Yeah.
This is ridiculous, man.
I tried to
So
watch Oppenheimer the other night, and
yeah.
look, it just did not interest me. I had no my views on atomic weaponry and
Mm-hmm.
what that was getting to. I don't know if you've seen it or I thought it
No,
was
I wouldn't
terrible.
watch it. No,
It's
no.
bad. It is really bad. And Nolan's actually normally does some really good stuff, and still a big fan of his Batman things. They interested me, but no,
Mm.
not this one. I don't believe in nuclear bombs, and so why bother?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like I say. Once you get rid of all these different fallen mindsets and idols, get them out of your head.
Yeah.
Just because they're all Jezebels, just get them out of your head. They're actually not offering you. They don't offer you any life.
No.
So here's the thing. So when people spread all these different stories of death and mayhem, they offer no life to the person they're talking to. They offer no help and no joy. They're, it's like, what do you want me to do with it? It's like you threw a corpse on me, and I'm asking. It's like, what do you want me to do with this corpse now that you threw it on me? You know,
Yeah.
because if I told you I don't care, then you think, oh, he's the. So then you play judgment. It's like, I don't even want to hear. I don't even want to hear about it, because unless you're willing to, if you want me to stand next to you as your second witness, then I'm willing to do that. But I need a list, and then I
You're
will
not. You
stand.
wouldn't make a great employee in a
Yeah.
funeral directory,
No,
in a
I'd be
funeral
like,
place.
I'd be like, I'd be like, I'd be like, he's just sleeping. Just relax.
Just feel relaxing.
I said nobody's going nowhere till the last day anyway. Nobody
Isn't it
got away with.
interesting how much they've
Yeah.
tried to throw through Hollywood, like Ghost and many, and well, you got TV shows in the '60s with a Ghost and Mrs. Muir. That there was a life that when you die, you become the spirit that can stay here and
No.
roam around, and uh, the complete opposite of what it says in the Bible, which it
Yeah.
does say.
You just go to you're sleeping until that final day, and then everybody gets boomed,
Wait,
and that's where I stand there as a second witness to anybody, and I've yet to have anybody really make me a list. But when they do, I'll be right there, man. I'll be right there on their right hand with that list. I'll be
Dave's
the
list.
second witness. And I'll
They're
say,
not Schindler's List. Dave's
yeah,
list.
they'll say they'll God will say, Jesus Christ will say, did you say that? And they'll say, yeah, I said that. And I'll be like, yep, he said it. He gave me a list. Di- Dissipation, boom. It's like all. So it's like, remember we talked about last time. Will you die for him? It's like, if you're gonna walk up to someone, whether it be in any audio or just in person, and offer them a story of death or mayhem, you have to ask yourself, are you willing to die for that idea?
Hmm. Well,
Because you're
that's why I
just
told you about saving a turtle today. I saved a turtle
yeah,
crossing the road.
yeah,
That I bought life for that turtle.
yeah, absolutely. Because otherwise, you're just offering spoiled meat and trying to shove it in their mouth. You're like, eat this. He's like, I don't want to eat it. It's like, get away from me, man. What are you doing talking about the crazy stuff like that? Get out of here. Scoot. Get. That's what I tell
Yeah.
him. So yeah, so
I've
that's
heard you
the
say that. I've heard you say that, Dave. I'll,
yeah,
I'll,
yeah,
I'll, I'll be your second witness for that one.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's like absolutely. Yeah, people look at you funny when you're like, man, I'm not even talking about that, dude. It's like we're done. It's like if you say another word, you can bounce. I'm like, are you serious? It's like, mm-hmm. Say another word. Bye. Like literally,
Consistency. The consistency is you are consistent. There
yeah.
has never been a moment that you've ever backed down on that one.
No, so yeah, I do not care, man. I do not care for liars. Period. They will never win. Only because I just don't want. I just want that last day to be easy. I don't want a bunch of people be dissipating. But if they choose to false witness death, that's the only thing that can happen. There's no other choice. If there's,
What do you think? In this, the next realm or whatever.
mm-hmm,
How I, so every single person. It's an incredible um, conversation to be had of the next. Of the next. When this world burns up and disappears, what the next world's going to be like and what we do and things like that. I mean, we should do a what
oh
your
yeah,
beliefs on it on it.
yeah,
I mean, I remember. I've got so many different. I've thought about this for many years. It's been one of my favourite subjects. I mean, I read the only part of the Bible actually I've really read was Revelations and
mm-hmm,
Daniel and parts
mm-hmm,
of the Book of John. Um, apart from it, if you're in a lot of trouble, and you're feeling spiritually tiny, it is a good. The New Testament's a fantastic read. If you want some strength, and there's no doubt about that. You'll get it.
Well, like I said, we were talking early, Gospel of John being in the 43rd book in the actual what I call, and here's an important a distinction or instruction, I should say, the 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 script of this place, this hell, this existence, is the King James version. All right, just simply for what they use for
KJV.
everything. Yep, the
Yeah.
KJV and the Gospel of John is the 43rd book. If you read that, you're going to understand the spiritual side of all of this. Now then, what's also if you're looking at the gematria side of this, now you need to look up the KJV 1611, which is going to be different because of the spelling differences. All right.
Yeah.
So while the word is going to be the same, you know, uh, as far as usage wise, the spelling makes a difference if you're going to be using gematria. So if you're looking at the spells being cast, you'll want to use the 1611 to decode the spells because you're using let's just say an older operating system for
Right.
a
So
better
it's very
for a
much
better
like a computer, a
right.
Linux system versus a
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah. Gotcha.
Right. So you need those extra characters because they're going to make it's going to focus the message because there's always going to be the message is always going to it's not going to be it's not going to be white when it's black or the vice it's going to be you're going to see it it's just going to look foggy until you get those added characters and then it sharpens,
Yeah.
right? So if you use the other version, which is to be used for kind of just because that's what's used in kind of the commonplace where people will show up in real so-called life, but in the spiritual or the scriptural kind of gematria or black magic side where magic squares get involved and things like that, you need to use the 1611, which
Yeah.
of course is going to be the 16, which is if you kind of break up the thought, the 1 plus 6 is 7, then 8, then 9, 7, 8, 9. People like 7, 8, 9, like it ate it.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
7, 8, 9.
That was
Yeah, yeah,
a joke. A couple of people have used a few times. Well,
yeah. They used to make
straight out of Sesame
used to
Street,
make fun
possibly.
of yours. Yeah, they used to make fun of yours truly with that one. Well, it's
That's
just
right.
but that is But that is what happens, because 7, the mind, eats the details and becomes idle. Because
Yeah.
if you this false idea, this lumen, this light, uh, you become idle, because all the time that you're spending with it is wasted. It's like you're carrying on the camel. We talked about the camel and the mem. You're carrying this false water. It's like no good. It's spoiled.
Yeah.
It offers you nothing. You know.
Yep.
So that's how
It's
that works.
you need you need to be offered meat on your table.
Yeah, absolutely. Put the meat on the table, man. Let me see what you got. So the Umbrella Academy was another show, which kind of was a it dealt with 43 children being born on the same day, and then kind of what happens with all of them. So
This is
that's
a
another.
Netflix show, kind of not Marvel. It was quite a big show and quite popular.
Yeah.
Apparently really good.
So
Apparently really good show. I haven't seen it myself.
yeah. So it deals with 43 so-called children that were born on the same day. So
So
you can
obviously
see.
43's got a lot of
Yeah.
is a serious
Well,
number. It's like 42, but
it's well, 42 is the present. 7, now this is the mind of the present. So the present was offered, like at the door, where it's like delivery drops it at the door. We're at the 43 stage, which is the knock at the door, brings it to mind, open the door, you take it. If you take it, if you consume it, that's the 8. That's going to be 44 next week, because
yeah.
you ate it.
It won't be
And
next
now
week.
you got to
So
live it.
I just let
Oh,
it'll
oh,
be
2
another
weeks?
2 weeks. I'm off. I'm off traveling slightly. Not for a long way, but
Uh-huh.
I'm away next Saturday. So no Saturday
Yeah.
and Sunday. So we'll be back in 2 weeks, 14 days, and I guarantee it will
Yeah.
be on the right. It'll be on the. Will it be 2 weeks time? It'll something that adds up to the same number that we were talking
Mm-hmm.
about. It's very strange how that happens, Dave. Really strange.
Mm-hmm.
It's like these shows are meant to be
Yeah.
made. I would say they are meant to
Oh,
be
yeah.
made.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And then, yes, that's, and then
43.
other than 43, there's a couple other ways you kind of going all the way back to the beginning. You have to always remember you have the 4 different ways to see it. You have the 3 or 4 minus 3, which leaves you the 1. You have the addition. You have the multiplication, 4 times 3,
12.
which is your 12, 3.
Yeah.
12, 1 plus 2 is 3, G7.
Cool.
You see how it always works out. 4 plus 3 is 7. So, and then boom. 1 is interesting, and why you've noticed that 1 is sometimes for the 7 a lot. It's going to show 17. 17
Which
this,
is a
that,
big
and the
number
other
at the
thing.
moment. It's a big number on the
Yeah.
media at the moment. Yeah. 17.
Well,
Just look
17
at how
also
many
deals
stories.
with Q.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the Q is the 17th letter. But then
Yeah.
yeah, but the 17 is dealing, because if you now look at the 17 in your imagination, just standing there like monoliths, the 1 is standing next to the 7. The 1, the idea, is standing next to the mind. If they come together, they ate. They become
The
8.
detail.
They ate it.
Mm.
Yeah, they
Yep.
become part of
I
the data.
noticed 17 and
It
8.
becomes the loop.
Yeah.
Yep, it
It's all of
becomes
a
the
sudden
loop.
the big
8.
thing. 17 victims, 17 victims, 17 this, 17 that, and it's like this
Well,
is oh
guess what, Rick? You say every time you say 17, you say 17 8, 17 8, 16 7.
detail. Mm.
There's
So
8
you're
plus 8
swallowing
is
the
16 plus 7. Yeah, you see? So it just keeps ringing your bell. It just
hmm
keeps ringing your bell. Bing bong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. And it's like, dude. And then, what I find interesting about that is then people then decide to eat it still, even though they know better.
Well, I
They know
don't
better.
anymore. If I see 17, I go, bang, that number again. It's a lot. There's a lot
Yeah.
of it at the moment. Yeah.
And then if you were to lay out the paper in front of you just with a pen and circle the 17 and just draw the lines to just outside the words being, and just look at the numbers only, you're going to see the pattern plain as day. Remember, I did
Yeah,
that with I did that with the so-called Jack the Ripper using the police reports. The 9/11 code is plain to see in all the police reports, page after page after page.
yeah, yeah,
It's all a hoax. It's all right. Once you see it, you see it. It's just right there. And then all you have to do is just kind of just dismiss all the fluff, all the words around it. Catch the code. Once you see the code, then you expand by adding in some of the words. That adds
yeah,
in the detail. Okay, bing, bang, boom, zing, done.
yeah.
Nobody does.
Bada bing.
Yeah, bada bing. Don't be spending your Sabbath worrying about this.
This is
Nobody died. Nobody got
also
hurt.
an archetype as well. The Jack the Ripper, it had all of the same stuff that's been regurgitated out in the media of, serial
Well,
killers. Be afraid, be afraid, be afraid. Mm.
well, even think about this, Rick. If you have this, the 43, the 7, the mind, and then they give you this idea of something, this, horrific event that happened that didn't happen. In your mind, you've constructed a scene that's even more grotesque than they could possibly put together.
Oh
In your
yeah,
mind,
that's what it's doing, isn't it?
your
It
imagination, it's like, oh
it's
yeah,
it's creating a thing for you to
mm-hmm,
dwell on constantly. Yeah.
yeah. And if you are one that is susceptible and not one who can separate fact from fiction, you can have physical manifestations from that, nightmares,
Oh
uh,
yeah.
you know, things, all that type of stuff. But you have to remember that if you notice yourself, because you're really the best person to notice your behavior. If you notice yourself acting a certain way or having
Yeah.
certain, quote unquote symptoms, it's quite easy to tell what's causing them, because it's always going to be it's always going to be what's
Yeah.
you're inputting. So if you're having a bad output, find out where your bad input's coming from and nip it in the
Yeah. Yeah.
bud,
Nip it in the bud.
nip it, nip it. So yeah, so then we talked about that one book, Demon, which at some point I can talk more about it next week. It might just be or 2 weeks, because it might just work out perfect for that. Um, but
No, do
for
talk. We do need to talk
for
about, because we have kind of touched on it with the computer. All of the computer symbology and names are all straight out of, um, as you've said.
oh yeah,
Uh,
it's
uh,
it's all straight out of a grimoire.
it is, yeah.
You know, yeah, it's all
And,
straight out of a
and and and
grimoire.
and it's like, I keep looking at, why would they reuse a word like demon for computer spell when they could have made up a new one, and had
Yeah,
a new word. But no, they use demon.
because
Uh,
it has to be
and
used because the system.
apples,
Yeah,
and the colors on the apple, the rainbow, um,
and even
straight
the
in
bite
front of
of
you.
the apple being missing,
Yeah,
and that whole
yeah.
idea
And even calling
uh,
them
and
bites,
oh yeah,
BYTES.
bites and yeah, and also Rick, just and then be what I it's like most will see that, but then it's like, will they even realize that they're speaking this Adam and Eve creation, which is the fallen mind of man and woman, which is
Yeah,
the Lord God Yahweh, which is the God of this world, which is the Satan character. The Adam and Eve character is a mindset. All right. So then, if you're a child of Adam and Eve, you're a child of the devil, because that's who they are, because that's who then that apple represents the 7 we're talking about right now, the
yeah,
43, that it's representing that it's bitten. So they bit. So those that choose that that line, and a lot of people get conned into that line of thinking. They are in fact following the
well,
Satan
they've had it
character.
they've had it rammed into their heads
Yeah,
from Sunday school onwards, and
yeah,
Bible classes, and
mm,
constant everywhere. It's in front of your face, and you switch your computer on if you've got an Apple,
yep.
or an
You
iPhone.
have to want. Yeah, you have to want to know what you're looking for. You have to want to get out. To get out, it just won't happen otherwise. But within
Yeah.
that demon book, that it creates what's called a dark net, very similar to the Skynet from, from the
Say that again. Oh,
Terminator.
you clipped
Uh,
just there when you said that's
oh, a dark net. It creates what's
dark
called a
net.
dark net.
Okay.
Dark net, yeah, and which is very similar to Skynet from the Terminator.
Oh yeah. They're actually calling it Skynet now, aren't they? When they're switching on, they're
Yeah,
actually using that name, Skynet. So
yeah.
James
So
Cameron, which is another JC. There's an awful lot of
yeah,
JCs out there.
yeah.
Um,
And what I
yeah,
told you about that. Oh, go ahead.
no, I was sorry. I was mentioning the fact that Skynet is being used again. They're actually using that when they're talking about
Mm-hmm.
uh, the Internet of Things and things like that. That they use that term that has been used. So created allegedly by the Terminator, whoever wrote
Yeah.
the book. It wasn't James Cameron. But nearly all of our major archetypal Hollywood movies are all coming, from Tron, uh, the demon one that you're just talking about now. William Gibson,
Mm-hmm.
so much stuff he put in out there that's extremely relevant. What was his other big
Yeah.
book though? Necromancer, was it? No, William Gibson. He did the one that had Keanu Reeves.
Well, he did Necromancer.
He did Necromancer. Okay, so he did so much stuff though, more than just a little bit. Like
He did Johnny. Oh, you mean Johnny Pneumatic?
Johnny Mnemonic
Did
or
he do
whatever it's
something
called.
with that?
Yep,
Mnemonic?
yep.
Did he do
I think
something
he
with that?
wrote it. I think that was one of his stories, or it's based on one of his stories. I
Yeah.
could
So
be wrong.
he did well. The Peripheral is really what we were talking about last week as well, just the full immersion idea. But then the follow up to Demon is called Freedom. It's a two-part kind of novel series, and the second one's called Freedom. And they both deal with the idea of gamers being used, because gamers are nerds are like the new heroes.
Oh yeah.
If you go to the store, like computer stores, they have these setups for computer keyboards and mouses, and they have like what we used to call nerds, pictured looking with their headphones on, looking at in
Oh,
the advertisement,
I've got one as a child, or at least two, maybe three.
and they're like, yeah, and they're like heroes now. Like the Revenge of the Nerds became
Oh,
real.
it's they yeah,
Yeah,
and watch your adverts. This is what I've always tell people: watch what the
yeah,
billboards have got imagery, and you'll see the new imagery of the gamer staring at and eating a packet of whatever they're selling, or eating a packet of
right.
whatever. The gamer is the new hero. He's the guy in his little room in his little box, staring at his screen, getting uploads, whether he likes it or
Well,
not, or she.
that's interesting. You say kind of in a box, because it kind of reminded me of the Wicker Man, where they're put into the
Mm,
box and into the Wicker Man. And I was thinking back to what we were talking about, that demon, or the demon book, the Darknet, one of the so-called the so-called hero of the Darknet is called the Burning Man. That's his handle, the Burning Man.
wow.
Yeah. So I remember that. Yeah. So that's quite interesting.
And
So
that
how?
in itself, the Burning Man, which is
Yeah.
the giant festival at Black Rock in the desert. Have you been through that part of the desert ever? That where
Mm,
Burning Man's held?
no, not that exact spot. No.
No, I don't want to go to that thing, but I'm fascinated with the whole concept of it. I've listened to some great breakdowns of Burning Man.
Yeah,
Um,
I did a video on Burning Man as well, kind of a
have
breakdown. I
you?
can, yeah,
I'll
I'll put.
reshare it, so I'd
Oh
like to
yeah, for
see that.
sure.
Mm.
I'll definitely. And it was actually in response, or as an addendum to the last Crow episode I did, because we were talking about something on the Crow episode 260 something or other, and I wanted to add to it, and it actually goes into the Burning Man deal.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because it's set up as a clock. The whole
Yeah,
area where they have this thing is set up on this giant clock face. So you'll find the
yeah.
4 and 3 will be, you guarantee you'll
Oh,
know
for
where the
sure.
4 and the 3 are. There'll be something right on that spot. It'll probably be
Yeah,
the Celestine camp or whatever,
yeah.
but you'll see it. guaranteed.
Yeah,
Fascinating,
man.
fascinating stuff. Fascinating stuff.
Yeah, for
Well,
sure.
you've another good show, Dave.
Oh, excellent. Good. Yeah.
Another good show.
That was good
44,
times, man.
40, 44 next time. Number 8.
Yep. 44, 8, 8. The details. 44. You know, like if you ever have time, take the way that numbers are written in the different scribe marks and just rotate them on each other, and you'll start to see different shapes. Even without me telling you what they are, you'll start to kind of recognize them as sigils and kind of electrical symbols. You'll, it's something that you have to kind of do on your own and see it. Like if you draw a 3, like draw just a regular 3, and then you draw a line straight down and just touch the center of the 3 and just have the others slightly out,
Yeah,
you can see that you've already created an arc, just like on Jacob's ladder, going up a line. And you notice that if you can then just imagine it spinning in your mind, it's creating the 8. You can
yeah.
just see it, because
The
just like the
reflection
7, yeah,
and the reflection of the 3.
yeah, and just like, yeah, so then when you do all this stuff, you have to think about it, because we're talking about the fours now. We're up to 43, so you have to be thinking about in the 4D. You have to be looking at it and thinking about it in all these different directions. You can't just be simply looking at it at the 7 level, because you need to be at the 7, the 14, the
Yep,
21,
yep.
20. You have to have gone through all these different iterations to get to where we're at now, because right now you should be able to plot all these different points we talked about and refer them back to like the Disneyland idea on the two different plots of land being on specific
Fascinating.
numbers.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
fascinating.
that goes back to what we already talked about, kind of in the early episodes, and there we spent more time kind of on the ground, talking about what you can really see and touch and feel. The
Yeah.
stuff we're talking about now is kind of more up in the in the spiritual realm.
And I'll just reiterate, if you want to listen to the very first early shows with a bit of music and a production, that was the truthmeets.com
Mm-hmm.
Bongversations episode 1 to 22,
Yep.
the 4. And
Yep. The
then we
four.
went
Yeah,
on to
man.
YouTube. It's just YouTube
Yeah.
now.
Now it's
Dave
just
J,
YouTube.
YouTube site.
Yep.
Doing really well too, Dave. It's good to see you got some proper
Yeah.
listeners and some great comments from the listeners out there. And shout out to the listeners out there. So we appreciate you listening. Good to know
Yeah.
there's people that are interested in this kind of level of conversation.
Yeah.
It's
It's really.
doing well.
Well, yeah, because
And
it's to me, if you can take it and build on it, you're actually, if you can learn this simple stuff, there's not there's nothing that can fool you, nothing,
nothing can fool you. You won't get fooled
nothing.
again, as
You
the
won't
Who
get
sung.
fooled again, man. You just won't. You won't. There's no way. It's impossible. The only thing you can do is stand in your own way.
Yeah.
That's
Fool me once, fool me
yeah.
twice. You won't get fooled again.
Fool
It
me
was
once, shame on you.
shame
Fool
on
me
you.
twice,
And he
shame
goes,
on you.
won't get fooled again. That was
Yeah, won't. Yeah, yeah,
George
yeah,
Shrub
George.
Bush,
Yeah, shrub.
the shrub. Yeah, fucking up a great
Yeah,
saying, because
yeah,
that is a good saying. Fool me once, it's shame on.
yeah.
Is it shame on me? Fool me twice.
Shame on you.
It's
Yeah.
shame on you, and fool me three. Won't get fooled again. Whatever.
Shame on
I'm
me. You won't
almost.
be fooled again. Watch this drive.
I loved him
No,
when
I'm
he
sorry.
that footage when he flew on that jet, sitting in the back, as if he was actually a pilot.
Yeah,
I think he was in the Air Corps, way away from any action or any mythological action. Uh, never had a pilot's license, or whatever, but he flew onto that plane and said, "We've won the war. We've
we've
won the
won the
war."
war. Everybody, yeah. That's kind of like a cottage industry of putting these dimbats, politician type characters into military vehicles to make
Yeah.
them look stupid. They have this. They have the famous Dukakis character from years ago. They put him in a tank with a little hard hat on, and it looked And it's like the only way that would have looked better is if the little hard hat was spinning on his head like a dunce. I would have. That
Or he
would
had
have been
a
funny.
little American flag popped up on the top
Yeah,
and spun
pop up.
around.
Yeah, or a little Jack in the Box, like a little Uncle Sam up there waving. Yay! Yeah, it looked totally ridiculous, man. And then what makes it even more ridiculous is that when you know kind of when you know the war hoax idea, it's like all that stuff becomes even like military parades. All that stuff just becomes comical. It's all nonsense once you see it.
You change your view on
Yeah,
everything once you
yeah,
get the gift of being able to spot lies and
yeah.
disinformation and storytelling.
And also, yeah,
Uh,
just take back the ownership of your time. You know.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just
Well, I think you've done it again, Dave. I think
all right.
we'll wind it up and thank you for everyone for listening.
Oh
And we'll
yeah.
be back in 2 weeks' time for number 44 on Bongversations, the fantastic Bongversations with Dave J.
Yeah. All
And
right.
me,
Well,
Rick.
cheers. Yeah, Rick. Cheers. Thanks for coming out, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Be blessed. Talk to you soon.
Be blessed. Yeah, be blessed.
Progress report.
I'm connecting the bypass circuit now, sir. It should take another half hour.
Speed is essential, Lieutenant.
Mr. Spock, I haven't done anything like this in years. If it isn't done just right, I could blow the entire communications system. It's very delicate work, sir.
I can think of no one better equipped to handle it, Miss Uhura. Please proceed.
Yes, sir.